All right, welcome in Gemini risings and sun sign. And also, if you happen to have the planet Uranus that was in your first house when you were born based on your birth chart, okay? So it will be different for everybody, but overall, let's just focus on the rising sign of Gemini and sun sign. So, we were going to talk about what is happening for you over the next 7 years. Okay. You previously were in the 12th house the last 7 years. So, you were doing a lot of internal work. Okay. The sign of Taurus was in Uranus the last 7 years. So, you were doing a lot of deep work associated with maybe your self-worth, how you approached your financial situations, dropping the ego when it comes to being stubborn and letting go of certain aspects of your life. Sometimes, you may have found yourself really determined in certain areas. And so you took a closer look and your sleep patterns were off. It was, pulling away from society. You may have even let go of social media for a short period of time. Your psychic abilities were starting to enhance and you were starting to see the truth of people, places, and things. And now you're emerging and blossoming into the first house. So that is you. When it comes to the first house, it's not tangible. It's not things that can be touched. It's you. Okay. It is, think of yourself as a vehicle. So you are going to reemerge with a new paint job. You might look different. You might sound different, right? You're going to move different. And so this is going to be really huge for you coming out of that 12th house, going into the first house. So people are going to see your behavior is different. They're going to see your style's different. You're going to move different. You're going to stop acting like your old self. Okay, Gemini, you might have found you may have been predictable to people. They may have, realized and thought, oh, that's just Gemini. This is how they act. This is how they move. This is what they do. You're going to let go of that old self. So your behavior will be much more spontaneous. So basically, over the next 7 years, you're going to go through phases where you change up and you're going to surprise people. They're not going to be able to predict you. So basically, you're going to go through multiple versions of yourself until you come to the end of the next 7 years where you actually settle in to who you are, where you want to be, and what direction you want to go. The first year, you might find yourself focusing on one path. By the third year, you're going to be your interests will be completely different because you're going to start to find yourself experimenting with maybe where you want to live or how do you want to look or what job do you want to have. By the fifth year, you might pivot again. And then you'll come out the final phase of settling into who you are. You'll still be flexible, but you will definitely settle in and realize who you are, where you want to be, where you want to live, what job you want to have. You're going to find yourself cutting off old identities, all right? So you're not going to hold emotional buildup, all right? You're just going to let it go. It'll be quick to be like, I'm not holding on to this anymore. I'm not going to worry about this anymore. You're just going to let it go. You're physically going to change. Okay, you're going to come out, you're going to have a new hairstyle. It'll be short, it'll be a different color, it'll be whatever you feel is comfortable for you. Your body language. People are going to notice that you look different and you act different. Your overall vibe is going to change multiple times because, Gemini is very flexible, okay? They like to change up like a chameleon. They get bored easily. They like their, maybe the interior of your house. You may do a complete overhaul on the interior of your house or your bedroom, or it could be completely different area. You might find yourself where you're living in the city and you're like, I'm done with the city life. You may find yourself wanting to move out towards the ocean. You may want to move further out towards the mountains. You might be finding yourself living in an area where you're kind of in the middle of both of those, so you can kind of fluctuate, if you're about an hour, a couple hours from either the mountains or the ocean, or maybe the city. It will depend on you, but you will settle in to what that will be for you. So you're going to learn to act more on your impulse rather than thinking about it. Okay, I get the Gemini energy. This is me. I'm with you. I was in the 12th house for 7 years. I'm now coming into the first house. So I am doing this all with you at the same time. You may have had thoughts, ideas that you wanted to act on over the past 7 years, but you paused, you hesitated, you held back. Circumstances changed. And now you're going to act on those impulses. You're not going to overthink them so much. And you're going to find that when you act on those impulses, it leads to growth, right? When you're not going to be so much caught in your head, like, we do have a tendency to kind of go back and forth on ideas before we take those actions. Now you're actually going to move and take those bold actions. You'll find yourself quitting something suddenly, okay? You're going to suddenly find yourself starting something. You're going to change direction quickly, and you're not going to feel stuck. Your communication is going to be increased. It's going to be more visible. You're going to be out there more. You're going to speak more. You're going to share more. You might share more information you've learned. You might share more information about yourself. You're just going to be more expressive, okay? You're probably going to post more online. You're going to find yourself networking more. People are going to notice that, where the last 7 years you may not have been out there as much because you were doing a lot of internal work. It was internal change. So people were not going to notice that, but you are going to notice that. And the only way people are going to notice it now is because you're moving into the first house, right? That's where, it's your personality, it's your identity. You're taking everything over the past 7 years that you changed and reformed internally is going to now come out externally over the next 7 years is what's going to happen. So Gemini, you think fast as it is. Wow. Over the next 7 years, your thought patterns are going to be faster. Okay. Your mind's going to be moving quicker. The process of Uranus moving into Gemini is going to be easy for you because you're able to adapt to change quicker than other signs. All right. So Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini is going to feel a a little bit more comfortable for you than it will other signs. You're not going to get stuck in your mind and bouncing back and forth, going, well, what if I move here? What if this happens? Or what if I take this job? What if there's no growth? You're not going to overthink those changes so much. You're just going to go with the flow of it. Okay. Most people, other signs, struggle with change. You do not. So this is going to be a little bit more of easier to go with the flow than it would be if it was another sign. So you're going to be in your element. There's going to be another sign that's in their element too, but I'll get to that sign later. That's going to be a different reading or a different video. You mentally align with chaos. Okay. So you actually enjoy change. Like I said, you get bored easily. You need environment change, job change, hair change, changing the furniture in your room. You just don't like stagnation. And this is going to be beautiful for you because you are going to move rapidly. And you're going to feel so much more energized. You probably lost a lot of your energy over this past 7 years. Not 100%, but a good majority of it. So you did feel very uncomfortable being out of your element of the air. Being in the Taurus sign, because that's what Taurus was, you probably had to sit with yourself a lot more, and it was probably one of those where your mind was like, come on, Gemini, let's get out, let's get moving, let's go socialize, let's do this. But your body and your internal soul was like, no, you need to stay put. And it was, oh my gosh, it was a struggle. I know, I was right there with you. I get it. Others are going to feel unstable during the next 7 years. You are going to feel energized. I'm with you. I cannot wait. The past 7 years, it was a huge learning lesson. A lot of uncomfortable moments, but it was necessary. It was part of the plan. It was part of my life plan. It was part of your life plan. It was what we signed up for. And we were all meant to go through that house at the same time. So just know I was there with you. Okay. Just know that I was there with you. Now I can tell you we are going to be in our element. Is going to be beautiful. You're going to explore instead of panic, right? You're going to act on impulse. You're going to get out there. You're going to see all the changes happening over the next 7 years. You're going to take it as, instead of chaos and confusion, not knowing what to do, you're going to take every change as an opportunity. And that's why this is going to be a huge growth leap for us. All right. You're not going to feel lost in this direction. Okay. You're going to, and even if you do feel a little lost, you're going to say, okay, this isn't working. What can I try? What can I do differently that's going to change it up? Instead of being stuck in this, well, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to say. You are just going to say, I'm going to take this route. We're going to take this left. We're going to pick up this project. You're going to find a new way to change it. This is natural for you, okay? You being able to handle multiple activities, multiple actions, multiple directions, juggling multiple things at one time. Whether it's being creative, analytical, or social. This is your element. You're going to be able to juggle all three at the same time. Other signs, it won't be as easy for them, except for maybe, other air signs. you evolve faster than most, okay? You're not going to find yourself clinging to the past. You're going to outgrow situations and you're going to move quickly, which is going to feel very nice. So this layering is powerful for you, all right? Life changes, people resist. A lot of people resist change. You are in your element. We love change. See, I'm wearing the butterfly. We constantly go through many stages and we evolve through those stages. It is our comfort zone to change. For you, you're going to adapt instantly. It's going to be so easy for you. I love this. This is going to be rapid self reinvention because you are constantly reinventing yourself. The cycle, instead of finding it to be crisis, you're just going to flow through it and know exactly what to do. So how could this look for you over the next 7 years? So the early phase, okay, so like I forgot to tell you, Uranus, this will be the 25th of this April. You'll start feeling bored with your current identity over the early phases, okay? I get it. When I get bored with something, I have to think about it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I need to change. And you're going to want change. So you're going to feel bored and then you're going to feel, okay, I want change. And then you'll start focusing on what is it I want to change. By the mid phase of the next 7 years, you're going to start experimenting heavily. You're going to try different lifestyles, careers, and personas. By the peak of the 7 years, you're going to start making big decisions. I mean, this is going to be a major visual shift. All right. You may decide to enter a body lifting contest, right? Where you need to transform your body majorly. You could find yourself moving into another country. You could find yourself moving to a completely different state. Like I said, you could be going from city to the mountains, or you could be moving from the mountains to the ocean. It will be a major scenery change for you. People are going to notice it. Well, of course, they're going to notice if your body goes from the average body to all of a sudden you're going to be slim, cut, masculine, with muscles and cut. Or, you could do major hair changes, right? You could go through aesthetics. You could find yourself going under the knife and changing something major about your look. Or, like I said, it will be a major change where friends and family realize you're now living near the beach when you were living in the city. It's going to be noticed. The final phase, you're going to land on the version of who you are. Okay? Now, it'll feel authentic to you. Right now, you're trying to discover what is authentically you, because Geminis, they're very adaptable. So in different situations and different scenarios, you can transform yourself much like a shapeshifter into that environment. Okay, like a chameleon, right? You can transform yourself to adapt to all these different areas. But the key thing over the next 7 years is, what is it you really want? Who are you really? Are you the person that lives in the beach? Are you the person that, is the bodybuilder who is now into total physical fitness? Or your job career? Are you the type of person that sits at a desk 8 hours a day? Or are you a freelancer? Are you going to go out and do something personally on your own? You'll still be flexible, but you're certainly going to settle into more of what is you. You know, what is your career change? What is your environment change? You know, what is, you know, your look? How are you going to look? How are people, you know, how are you going to talk? Are you going to be more bold? Are you going to be more out there in the, you know, social network? Are you going to, instead of sitting, you know, in an office by yourself doing, you know, work that is independent of being social, are you going to find yourself out on social media? Are you going to start a YouTube channel where you're teaching somebody something and you're out there teaching, you know, and getting more out into the public? The challenges for you over the next 7 years that you will need to be mindful of is scattered energy. That is natural for Gemini, okay? We intake a lot of thoughts and ideas. We like to get involved in many different activities. We start a lot of things, but we don't always finish them. So we'll need to be mindful about constantly changing direction and avoiding commitment. So this will be not only committing to projects, but partnerships, you know, romance. If you're out there dating, you're going to want to be mindful of being flexible, being you, but not being over scattered. You want to make sure that if you start a couple of projects, don't start 8 projects, because you cannot give a lot of your time and energy into 8 projects in a 24-hour day. You're going to want to pick a couple of them. Now, keep yourself broad. You know, you might find yourself getting into 2 projects, but those 2 projects kind of align with each other, and then slowly start expanding out further into each of those areas, but slowly as you master and perfect the 2 projects you want to focus on. Okay, otherwise you're going to find yourself not wanting to totally commit. Which is how you'll want to deal with this transit correctly is, like I was saying, explore widely, right? But commit to a few key paths at a time. All right. I know, you know, our mind is like a squirrel. We're like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Slow it down. And because you're going to be a sponge for a lot of ideas and energies coming at you. So you're going to want to make sure you find yourself wanting to ground, okay, and take a few of those projects that you want to focus on and only focus on those and do it with your whole heart instead of changing direction too much, because I know we can do that. So the big truth about all this is Gemini is already about change, curiosity, and flexibility. The takeaway here is to transform more authentically, more adaptable, and completely unboxed from who you used to be. All right. So let's get you a couple of oracle messages and we will close this out. This was more of an informative video to give the zodiac signs an idea of what's going to be happening for them over the next 7 years. So let's get a sacred soul message, and then we will do a higher self message. I think this is more appropriate So let's get a sacred soul message for the Gemini collective. Well, that was quick, but you're going to move quick. Look, the butterfly. I love it. Okay. Anything you lose comes around in a different form. Opportunity, choices, transformation. So remember, this is all about losing old identities, right? Losing your old self and transforming into, how appropriate with the butterfly, transforming yourself into a more authentic you. You're going to be, like I said, losing old hairstyles, losing old jobs, losing old environments, losing an old you. And that's okay, because you are going to transform yourself into something that's more authentically you. And like I said, over the next 7 years, this isn't going to be you automatically the first year transforming into who you are. You're going to go through a lot of phases of it, much like the butterfly does, okay? It's going to be many phases until you go and settle into that final butterfly, all right? So let's see here. Let's go to higher self messages. That was quick. When you bond with someone in spirit, you both become a greater force for the good. I like this. See the 2 hearts? I feel a lot of you, Geminis, connected to the spiritual world and your higher self the previous 7 years. And you're now taking that and using what you learned and the fact that you connected probably to your loved ones, because the 12th house is your spirituality. It's your psychic mind. You not only connected to your higher self, you connected to your spirit team, you connected to your loved ones, all in the spiritual realm, okay? And you are going to continue that connection as you start moving out into the next 7 years. So everything that you learned and the connection that you have is going to be such a greater force going into the next 7 years. And I feel some of you may actually connect to your divine partner that is in the spirit world as well. So they're connecting to their spirituality much like you did. And I feel that with the 2 hearts here, I feel not only have you connected to yourself and your loved ones, your spirit team, you're going to now find somebody else who has connected to their higher self. So Gemini, sun and rising, and of course, if Uranus happened to be in the 1st house when you were born, this message is for you. Good luck to you. We're going to stay in touch because obviously I will be doing readings throughout the next 7 years. So when we tap into the Gemini energy, we'll be able to see kind of what happens over the next 7 years. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope this resonated. If you find this to be helpful, if you, again, like you're resonating with the fact of what I said coming out of the 12th house and now moving into the 1st house, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And until the next one, I'll talk to you soon.